Hey everybody, welcome back to Rink's Garage. Today we got the '05 Silverado in the shop. We got a leaky water pump. It was real cold earlier this week and she started leaking, and it's leaking pretty good. So we're gonna throw a new one in there. I got some belts to throw on it too. This one does have the 5.3 in it, but should be the same as your 4.8, 5.3, 6.0. Everything from basically 1999 into the late 2000s should all be the same. So we'll pop the hood on her and get to changing her out. Alright, so first things first, we're going to get this air box out of the way, which we just got a clamp here and a clamp over here, and we can pop that off. There is one radiator hose holder we'll have to pop out too, but Peyton's going to get them two out of there. I'm going to loosen them two clamps. Make some room so we can see down there what else we got to take off. Alright, now we got the air box out. We can got a little more room to work. Here's our water pump we're going to be switching out. So next item is to drain the antifreeze out of it. Of course, ours is the overflow tank is empty because it all leaked out sitting in here in the shop. So I'm going to pull this one off, see if we can route it down to a bucket and maybe not spill, 2 gallons on the floor. Probably still happen, but we're going to give her a try. This one does have electric fan, so that gives us a little more room up here. If you got a solid blade fan, that'll just have to come off this pulley. Of course, you're gonna have a big shroud in the way too, but electric fan's a little easier because it's all open already. So we'll pop that hose off and see if we can get some antifreeze drained out of her. There we go. Maybe. She all leaked out on the floor, so that's nice. A little less mess. So I just got a bucket down underneath. We'll see if we can route it down and get most of it in the bucket. Alright, you can see I just tucked that hose around, stuck her down where that bucket is, and while that's draining, we'll get the belt off. So this outside belt tensioner is here. You're just going to need a 15 millimeter. Stick that on there, and then you can turn the belt down like that. Peyton, grab that belt and slide it off the pulley. Just like that. Now my hose is in the way, but then we can get our belt off and out of the way, and then we'll move on to taking the rest of these hoses off. So we got the upper, lower, and then the heater hose and the overflow tank hose. So we'll get all them clamps loosened up and peel them off the water pump, and then we'll go about taking some bolts out. Alright, we got all the hoses unhooked. Got them two unhooked. I put some fancy clamps on the heater hoses just to keep the water from running out of there. Otherwise, it's not too horrible of a mess. But next thing we got to do is pull the water pump off. So we got 3 bolts on each side. We'll pull them out and she should slide right off. So these 6 are all going to be 10 millimeter longer bolts that go all the way through. One stubborn one. Throw a breaker bar in him. Well, hopefully we don't snap that one off, but that one seems extra tight. So what do you do with the extra tight one? Put a longer brake bar on it, see what happens. Appears to be froze up in the water pump housing. It is turning separately, so we'll just work her back and forth. See if we can get her to come loose. Yeah, her head's just getting ready to twist off. All right. She's loose. So I got the pump off. As you can see here, some crud in there. I'm not sure. It might have just been leaking on here. We'll have to look. Either it was coming out of the weep hole, but either way, we'll have to take the putty knife and scrape off all this old gasket and silicone. Get these 2 ports cleaned up before we put that new one on. Also, I did grab a new AC belt, so we'll throw that on while we got all this stuff off. So for that AC belt, that also has a little tensioner down here that just takes a 3/8 ratchet or breaker bar or extension, whatever you got, so you can just push him down, pop that belt off, and then I'll grab the new one and we'll slide her on. Just like that. So now we got a new AC belt. I'll start working on cleaning up these ports up here on the water pump. All right, to get our ports cleaned up, surfaces clean as we can get them. That old gasket was really stuck on there. I had to scrape it off and then use my little die grinder as best as I could. So we should be ready for the new one, but first we got to switch some parts over from this old water pump. So the new one does come with the pulley, but it does not come with the tensioner or the thermostat housing. So we'll have to pull these bolts out of here and the bolts on the thermostat housing and throw them up on the new water pump on the bench. All right, zipped off the thermostat housing and the tensioner off the old one. Tensioner will just go back on with these 3 bolts here. Them are 15 millimeter. And then the thermostat housing, I of course got a new thermostat and everything, so we'll pop that out of there. Them are 10 millimeter, and that does come with new ones of them. So we'll get this cleaned up and stuck on the new water pump, and then she'll be ready to go back in the truck. All right, first of all, we gotta get our old thermostat out of the housing. That's just got a rubber gasket around it, and we'll just clean that off. I did get a new thermostat. He just goes down in that groove. Yes, there is a mark where it's got to go in the gasket, in that groove there. All right, so when he's in, let's set her back on top. Use our new bolts. Snug him down. Like so. Now, tensioner we can just bolt back on. We got to reuse our bolts for that. So. And like I said, this one's already got the pulley on it. So we are good to go back in the truck. Now, this one did come with a lot nicer steel gaskets with a rubber O-ring around it. So as long as we got it cleaned up good, we shouldn't need any silicone, I don't think. So I'm just going to screw her on there. But we'll stick the bolts through so these stay in place. And then I do have to get that other bolt out. So basically it's just gunked up. So I'm going to take the impact and just spin it a bunch and work it in and out till it slides out of there. Same with that one. As you can see, it's got a bunch of gunk on it just from dirt and grease over the years. So I'll get them out. We'll get them started in the new one and stick her back in the truck. Alright, got my gaskets on and my bolts started in here, so we'll just slide her back in. Get a couple bolts started up in there if we can. Take my extension off. See if we can get one started here. There we go. Snug them all up. Alright, since they're all snugged up, we'll, you know, torque them to the proper torque specs. Oh no! Right in the skid plate pan, of course. Probably never get that back. There we go. So now, hook all our hoses back up. We got top radiator, lower radiator, and the 2 heater hoses. Get them hooked up and we can throw our belt back on now, I guess. I'll grab that. And if you forget how it goes, it tells you right there, somebody put a check mark by it. It's real stiff, so that makes it easier, you know. Oh, I already screwed it up. You gotta go around the power steering pump, over this pulley. Big old twist in it. That's beautiful. Come on. Around the crank. Then we'll need our 15 mil. Make sure we're on all our pulleys. Appears as though we are. Seems real. I think we'll do this. We'll go over this one. And then slider under there, and voila, belt's back on. Double check, make sure we're solid in all the grooves, which we are. Now we can put our hoses back on so I can cut all my zip ties I got holding this stuff out of the way. Start with our heater core lines, I think. Back one on. Fancy hose clamp pliers. That one on. Another. Probably should have got new hoses too, but we'll see. Oh no. There we go. Now, cut my zip tie on the upper rad hose. Come on there. Special large hose clamp pliers. Voila. Now, lower rad hose. That one's still got a little bit of water, and maybe we'll put this one on first. Untuck my drain hose for the overflow out of there. Put Kim back on. Now we can get this lower hose on. Even though I had that bucket down there, I still got a pretty good sized mess, so that's all right. Oh, a little bit more of a mess now. All right. Got all our hoses hooked up. Now we can just put our air box back on and be ready for some antifreeze. All right, we got the air box back on. Oh, suppose I better stick this back in there. Air box back on, everything's tightened down, so all we got left is to fill her back up with antifreeze. So all we gotta do there is fire it up, let it run, fill our tank up with antifreeze, let that circulate, get all the air out of the system, and then just continue to check it here for the next day or two. Not gonna be able to tell if it's leaking because, you know, I didn't catch as much as I thought, so it'll be running out of the skid plate here for the next month or so, but I'll fill her up and we'll be good to go down the road. So hope that helps you guys out, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.